Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I'm going to be taking a look at a very interesting Kingdom Hearts 3 mechanic mod known as ReFocus. This is something that piqued my interest mainly because it sort of changes the flow in which Kingdom Hearts 3's combat works. As we know, for KH3, the brand new mechanic system was essentially situation commands. This was the way that you were able to activate all of the cool attacks, whether it be Grand Magic, Team Link attacks, or of course the brand new forms. However, in regards to using situation commands and namely activating forms, there's no resource costs behind using these at all. Even when looking towards Grand Magic, it doesn't actually use any of your MP, and of course there's no drive gauge in Kingdom Hearts 3 like there was in Kingdom Hearts 2 in order to utilize forms. Essentially, you just pretty much deal damage in combat, whether it be normal melee attacks or of course magic, and depending on what kind of attacks you're doing in a combat situation, you'll get a different situation command pop up. Now obviously there's been a lot of criticism thrown towards Kingdom Hearts 3, and namely when looking towards the situation command system, this is one thing that seems to get critiqued a lot, mainly because there's not a lot of actual cost or sacrifice in order to actually utilize all of these very powerful attacks in the game. And people mainly look at the form system in this game and compare it to Kingdom Hearts 2, as there was an actual resource behind using those uber powerful forms in KH2, whereas there really isn't in Kingdom Hearts 3. Basically, what ReFocus does is it ties things like situation commands, links, and even air stepping to the focus gauge. That's right, no longer is focus just locked to that of shotlock. It is now also the resource cost behind using situation commands overall. And now through doing a complete playthrough with the ReFocus mod activated, I can wholeheartedly say that I kind of wish this system was actually implemented for Kingdom Hearts 3 critical mode. I don't think that this should have been something that was integrated into the game as a whole, but when looking at critical mode to sort of add an extra layer of difficulty and to actually have to think about, alright, what situation commands do I actually want to use and will be worth sacrificing my focus gauge for, to be mindful and a little bit strategic whilst in battle, rather than just spamming triangle whenever a situation command pops up. Now, on top of also making sure that a situation command pops up through doing enough damage in combat, you also have to manage how much focus points you have. You may notice now that the focus gauge is split into 4 blocks. In total, there is 100 focus points, and one block counts as 25 points. So most situation commands here are going to cost you 25 points. That means in total, you're able to activate 4 different situation commands. These are mainly, of course, looking at Grand Magic, switching into a form, using a form's finisher, or of course going into the second stage of a form. This also counts for team attacks, basically any situation command that pops up, most of which are going to cost you 25 focus points. Air stepping as well is part of this system, meaning that it will cost you 25 focus points in order to air step to an enemy. This now means that you can no longer just continually keep air stepping around the place, avoiding damage and spamming the buzzsaw attack, which is pretty overpowered in all honesty, especially when you have a big group of enemies. You kind of have to be a little bit more mindful here. Even when we look at the link system, this is probably the mechanic that has taken the biggest hit here with ReFocus. To use the summon, it will cost you 50 focus points. However, in order to use the finisher for the summon, it will cost you an additional 50 points, meaning all up to get the full use out of a link, you're looking at the entire focus bar being sacrificed. And this is for good reason, obviously, like links are incredibly powerful in Kingdom Hearts 3, while you still can receive damage while using them, you can't die whilst in a link. They can also dish out some pretty decent damage, so there is that sort of risk and reward factor now to actually using them, rather than just sacrificing your MP bar. Do you want to use a link? But in that case, you will then be left with absolutely no focus gauge left in order to pull off Grand Magics, team attacks, or of course form changes, until you get your focus gauge back. So let's talk about how you do that. Now obviously there is an item in Kingdom Hearts 3 known as a Refocuser. There is Refocuser and High Refocuser. This item can no longer be used in combat. It is now only tied to that of the camp menu. So it pretty much makes it obsolete, honestly. I never bothered about using these because I pretty much just run to a save point, replenish all of my gauges. So how do you replenish your focus gauge then? While I'm in combat, you might notice that a new number is appearing on screen every so often when I'm dealing out damage, known as FP, which stands for focus points. For every 4th hit that you do towards an enemy, you'll get some focus points back, but this is dependent on what kind of damage you're dealing towards the enemy. A normal basic base combo attack will give you 1 focus point back for every 4th hit. A finisher in your base form will give you 2 focus points back. On the 4th magic attack, you will get 3 focus points back, and any kind of flow motion attack or risk counters will reward you with 5 focus points. Another handy thing to keep in mind here too is while you are an MP charge, all of these values are doubled. Now, I went for a magic build for this playthrough, mainly because when I look at the MP charge thing, doubling the focus points I get back, on top of also every 4th magic attack will give me 3 focus points, kinda seems like using magic here is a little bit of the winner in order to keep that focus meter up. And it's really surprising just how differently I approach Kingdom Hearts 3's combat this time around. In regards to air stepping, I did basically none of it because it would use 25 points every time I did that. And trust me, ever since finding out about how good air step is, I haven't stopped using it. It's a fun system, but can be a little bit broken. It's sort of similar to that of the flow motion thing in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. So I pretty much did none of it. I almost used no shot locks throughout my entire playthrough, and again, this is another mechanic that is incredibly powerful in Kingdom Hearts 3. It can do a lot of bursty damage. Of course, you may as well use the focus gauge as it's only tied to one thing, that being shot locks. So now that you have to kind of think, do I want to use the focus meter for shot lock, or do I want to use it for just the general situation commands, it kind of deters you from using shot locks as a whole, or only really in sort of critical moments that make sense to use it, like the health steal shot lock I did use from time to time. And looking at forms too, when I'm going into a form, I try to ensure that I have at least 2 bars of focus. So that way I can actually use the forms to its ultimate potential, being able to activate it and then also use its finisher. You have to kind of be a little bit strategic though, because let's say you go into a form and you've now no longer got any focus left. What you can do is obviously you can stock forms, so just simply switch keyblades, use a different keyblade, get your focus meter back up, then switch back to the keyblade with the form attached to it to utilize its finisher. I also thought I should probably mention Rage Form too, because now Rage Form is, I guess, more risky to use and won't benefit you as much as normal. When we look at like Anti-Form in Kingdom Hearts 2, it's honestly more of a disadvantage than anything, but Rage Form doesn't really step into that realm. While you are limited to certain things you can do, like healing and whatnot, for the most part, Rage Form is actually a super powerful form to use. Of course, the Risk Charge command is what the entire form is based around. After using Risk Charge 3 times, you'll then finally be able to utilize Rage Form's finisher, which is strong. However, because Risk Charge is technically a form finisher, or at least a form command, this means for every Risk Charge you use, it's going to take 25 focus points. That means that in order to actually use Rage Form's finisher, it's kind of unlikely, as by the time you'll be able to use the finisher for this form, you'll be flat out of focus points. You kind of want to make sure that you're dealing as much damage as you can while in Rage Form in order to use its finisher. I think what's so surprising about this is just kind of how well it works. Trust me, it doesn't make the game batshit crazy, difficult, or anything of the such. It just kind of means that you approach the combat differently. Now, I'd be lying if I said it didn't add an additional layer of difficulty onto something like playing critical mode at the same time like I did, but it's not to a point where it's like, okay, this is definitely a challenge run of sorts. No, this is certainly something that could have been officially implemented for something like critical mode. Maybe an additional ability, sort of like Critical Converter, that disables the attraction flow rides, but you kind of benefit from it, could have been a similar thing put into critical mode if you want to add just a different way to approach Kingdom Hearts 3's combat. You do have to sort of strategize a little bit more so, and I honestly do hope that for the future of Kingdom Hearts, if the situation command system is going to return, something like this is actually looked at, some kind of resource that has to be used in order to activate all of these crazy attacks. Don't get me wrong, Kingdom Hearts 3 definitely does have its challenges, even without a system like this implemented, and so going forward, I wouldn't want this to be an actual thing integrated where that's the only way the game plays, but more so as an optional thing to activate. Oh, also too, you guys might be thinking, what happens if you don't have any focus points, but you actually need to use air step like in Olympus in order to complete a certain part of the story progression? Don't worry, when you're outside of combat, your focus meter will automatically replenish to 25 focus points so that you can do the air stepping that you need to in order to progress the story. Real quick too, I thought I would mention 2 other mods that I have activated throughout this playthrough just to sort of spice some things up. You guys may have noticed throughout the clips that you can kind of see all of the enemy health bars over the enemies. This is known as enemy health bars, created by Aproydtix. It's just a neat accessibility type, quality of life type of thing to be able to see exactly all of the health statuses of all of the enemies on the field. Again, would be cool if something like this was an optional thing like Scan Plus that you could activate in the game, or an additional ability. What's neat about this too is it will also tell you what the enemy's name is, on top of also displaying what level the enemy is, which I thought was some really interesting information to have for Kingdom Hearts. And the other mod that I really wanted to try out was Party ReHAUL, created by Sabertooth222. This effectively makes all of the party members throughout Kingdom Hearts 3 better, in the sense of they will do a better job in assisting you in combat, dishing out damage, support, etc. It works really well. I noticed throughout my playthrough of having this mod attached that, yeah, Donald and Goofy specifically were just doing more, they were going down less. It changes up a whole bunch of things, like just the way they behave in the sense of their AI, different starting stats, brand new abilities. As an example, for Donald, his new abilities are Firaga, Eroga, Arcanum, which is brand new. It's this big vortex thing, which I believe was actually integrated into Light vs. Darkness, the Kingdom Hearts 3 Overhaul mod. He's also got Thundaga, on top of also having Hyper Hammer type spells, those spell animations that are more AoE. Goofy now has both MP Gift and MP Gift Get, which is so helpful. Most of the time, Goofy will basically just sacrifice all of his MP as he doesn't use it, and give it to both you, being Sora, or of course Donald, so that we can dish out more spells. Also, just the levels of which that Donald and Goofy and other Disney party members throughout the game receive certain abilities have all kind of been swapped around to make a little bit more sense and to make them more useful at certain points throughout the game. This kind of makes the game just a little bit easier, but that sort of immersion factor of actually having very useful party members is very nice. And there's even a brand new AI style when you go to actually customize the party, because yeah, this is a thing that I feel like a lot of people forget about, but it's known as Sora Target. If you equip this AI style onto a party member, it basically just means that the party member will be forced to attack the target that you're currently targeting. So long as you're locked onto them, let's say Goofy's got it, he will focus on that specific enemy. And it works really well with the ability known as Double Team, where you'll do 2 times the amount of damage if you and a party member are attacking the same target. So yeah, with these 3 mods installed, and especially Kingdom Hearts ReFocus, created by JakeProtagonist, it made for a brand new, refreshing Kingdom Hearts 3 experience. This is the absolute power of PC mods. If you are looking to do a fresh new playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 3, I highly suggest that you give at least ReFocus a try. It really makes you approach the combat of this game so much differently. However guys, just thought I'd bring this to your attention. It's certainly a mod that I feel like needs a little bit more attention at the moment. Stuff like this in the ways of like mechanic mods don't release all too often, and so I really appreciate the community putting time and effort into stuff like this to give brand new experiences to this game. As always, the mod links are in the description down below. However guys, I've been Cynical, hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to do the cliche YouTuber thing right now, but I have noticed that a lot of the viewers at the moment are watching the videos but aren't actually subscribed. Also, if you guys want to keep up to date with all of my socials and other things that are going on, be sure to follow me over on Instagram and Twitter, links in the description down below. Hopefully you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys real soon. Peace.